Welcome back, everybody. In this video I want to look at the screw tool. Now, there is also a screw modifier, and that is not what we will be looking at here. We will be looking at the screw tool as part of our editing tools. We're not going to get super in-depth because in many cases the screw modifier is actually what we would want to use. But we'll deal with that when we get into our modifier section. For now, I just want you to be aware of this tool and have a basic understanding of how to use it. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete my cube. I'm going to go into my front view, numpad 1, and orthographic, numpad 5. And I'm going to create a circle. So Shift A, and I'll add a circle. And I want that circle to be facing me, so I'm going to hit R for rotate, X to lock my axis, and then I'm just going to key in 90 and enter on my numpad. Great. Alright, I'm going to slide this over about 4 units, something like that. I want that out here. Then I'm going to tab into edit mode. And I'll zoom in just a little so we can see what's going on. Alright. And now I don't think I've shown you this hotkey before, but I'm going to do Control Tab and make sure that I'm in vertex selection. And then I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to left click about 2 units over and down. Oops. I'm going to deselect my circle first, and then I'm going to do it. And I'm going to create a vertex. And then about 2 units in and up, I'm going to do it again and create a separate line. Now, the reason I'm doing this is when we use the screw tool, it requires some sort of open vector for it to decide what to do. We've left our cursor here in the center. We have our circle out here. So our circle is going to work around the cursor, but it needs to know really where to go, and it can't do that with a closed shape or a closed mesh. So we need to provide it something to do that, which is why I've created this. I've also created this line larger than the circle, and we'll see why in a minute. So I'll tab A a couple of times just to deselect and then select everything. And then I'm going to hit my screw tool. And you can see by default we have 9 steps, and it gives us 1 turn. And it's also applied the screw operation to our line. That's okay, that's unavoidable doing this. But we can increase our steps to say 36. And turns to 4 is fine, I suppose. And you see we get this nice little screw operation, which looks like some sort of coil or spring or something like that. That's what this is really handy for. You get very clean, perfect geometry for this. Now, if I were to hit Control Tab and go into edge mode and deselect everything, I could grab this edge. And now here's another hotkey. I'm going to hit Control L, and it's going to grab all of the edges linked to that edge that I had. And then we could simply delete that out, and we have our spring. It's very handy. Alright, let's back out of this. And take a look at what I meant by some of the stuff I was saying. I need to recenter my cursor, or at least close. When I was talking about this line, before it was straight, so we basically got this perfect spring. But what happens if we change the vector of this line? Well, let's grab this vertex and do that. I'm going to drag that over a little bit. I'll tab A a couple times again, and then we'll do the screw operation one more time. And as you can see, the vector of our line changed the vector of our screw operation. So you're beginning to see how handy that can be. I'm going to undo that again. And this time I'm going to move my cursor further out, say somewhere around here. And let's try that again. So you can see how those two items have a profound effect on what you end up with. So it's important to think through exactly what kind of ending mesh you want to have when you pull this operation. Like I said, there is a screw modifier that we can use that will give us a lot more control over what we're doing and is non-destructive. So in the future we'll see how that works and how we can manipulate things after the fact. But for now, for basic operations, this will do just fine. Alright, I'm going to get out of that again. We'll close in on this. Now, we've been doing this operation on a closed circle. But let's go ahead and delete these. And let's get our cursor back to roughly center. What happens if the shape we have isn't closed to begin with? Well, let's try our control left click and pull out some vertices. So we'll start up here. I'll create one. And I'll create one here. And I'll create one here. And I mean, really, you can make any kind of shape you want. What is important to me in this particular case is that I want my top and my bottom vertex to be pretty well set on the z-axis. And we could certainly go into N and we could make sure that we have everything perfect by entering it in. But this will do fine for what we're doing. So, get rid of that. Dab A a couple times. So we have everything selected. Now we can see our shape. Let's try our screw operation. Very nice. So we get a complete mesh without anything that we need to delete. And I think you can see some of the possibilities with this. This could be for a tower in a game or a movie or something like that. And all we would have to do is fix our mesh up at the top, but we'd have this nice complex shape already figured out for us by Blender. So that's pretty handy. And of course we can still go in and change how many steps. We could make this very smooth by maybe 60. And it looks awesome. If we tab out, you can see how good that looks. We could throw a smoothing operation and an edge operation on it, and we would have a very, very nice piece. Alright, that's about all we really need to know about the screw tool for now. I just want you guys to be familiar with it, and then we'll cover this operation much more in depth in our modifier section. Now, I said this would be the last video, and I kind of lied. Because we have another tool that's kind of the same thing, where we have an operation for it, but we also have a modifier for it. But in this case, the operation can be pretty handy and pretty quick. So we're going to do one more video on the bevel tool. I will see you there.